Imagine waking up and reaching for your phone, only to remember your right hand isn't there, it's amputated. You still intended to move your hand, you know how to, but the message from your brain never arrives at its destination. That's because the brain sends instructions through electrical signals carried by cells called neurons. Here, neurons are purple and synapses are turquoise. Neurons communicate using tiny voltage changes, quick electrical spikes that travel along the cell and cause the release of chemical messengers at synapses. Also called action potentials, these spikes are the language of the nervous system. In the case of an amputated hand, the electric signal your brain sends when it is thinking about moving the hand never reaches something that's not there. That's where Neuralink comes in. Neuralink's goal is to tap into that language of the nervous system. It is a brain-computer interface, which means it takes electrical signals from the brain and communicates them to an external device. Neuralink has developed a chip that uses super thin, flexible threads containing electrodes. These threads are thinner than human hair and are implanted directly into the brain's motor cortex, the region responsible for planning and initiating movement. Each of these threads carries about 16 microscopic electrodes, tiny conductive sensors that sit close to individual neurons. Because neurons communicate through electrical changes, these electrodes can detect the smallest voltage fluctuations created when neurons fire. Think of each electrode as a microscopic antenna that picks up the electrical chatter of nearby neurons. Once implanted, these electrodes listen to the electrical activity of neurons. When a neuron fires, the local electrode records a change in voltage. Once the neural signals are converted to digital data, machine learning algorithms analyze neural patterns, identifying the signals that correspond to specific intentions, like imagining moving a hand. This decoded intent can then be turned into real actions on a screen, a robotic limb, or a prosthetic device. It does require serious brain surgery, where the skull is drilled open and the chip implanted. This is also done by a robot, as the surgery is far too delicate for the human hand to perform. It uses mechanics similar to a tiny sewing machine to implant the threads. But this incredible potential also raises serious ethical questions. Implanting electrodes inside the brain involves long-term safety concerns we do not yet fully understand. There are privacy issues. If devices can read brain activity, who controls that data? How do we protect something as intimate as our thoughts? Access matters too. If only wealthy individuals can afford enhancements, neurological tech could widen existing societal gaps. Or what would happen if the technology fell into the wrong hands instead of the right ones? Neuralink science lies at the intersection of neuroscience, computer science, and electrical engineering, with the promise of restoring lost functions. But it also forces us to think deeply about how we use technologies that literally touch what makes us human.